You know what I love about this Zoom technology? It allows us to catch up with great friends in different places and, hear about how the wine lifestyle is treating us all. Santa Barbara, I've got lots of friends that live up in Santa Barbara, and it is absolutely our best local growing region. There's so many reasons to visit Santa Barbara, and I'm going to give you a good one right here. Visit my friend Brandon Sparks Gillis. He is a partner at Dragonette Cellars, and he's given me a little bit of insight on what's happening up there. Brandon, it's so great to see you and to be able to talk about Dragonette.
So great to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And thanks to everybody on Zoom for coming in and learning more about Santa Barbara.
Brandon, how long have you been a Dragonetter?
So we are officially celebrating our 20th anniversary this year, which is crazy. I mean, time just flies. Yeah, but we made a little bit of wine together as a kind of hobbyist scale in 2003 and 2004. Same sort of time that I was actually interacting with you in the wine world and the wine trade down in Los Angeles. And Dragonette officially began with the 2005 vintage. So it's been 20 years.
Amazing. Well, Santa Barbara's been changing a lot since that time period too. If it all seems to have started around 2005 with this, monumental movie that we don't even need to say the name of, and it definitely coincides with this massive amount of energy that arrived into Santa Barbara. New ideas, new personalities, some great brands, and I think the timing is not a coincidence at all. We're going to take a look now at our slideshow, and I think everyone's going to really enjoy the entirety of the program. But we start with Dragonette, which is absolutely one of my favorite brands, always on my list of people to see, to get to know. And I probably picked maybe one of your smaller wines to start with. But are you still at this tasting room?
That's the spot. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Beautiful Los Olivos.
Right.
Come and visit.
Very cool. And are you guys open 7 days there?
We are, yeah, 7 days a week in Los Olivos. We have a little private nook there we call the study, where if somebody really wants to geek out, they can make an appointment and have a one-on-one guided tasting. And then we also do tours at our winery, which is kind of an industrial setting in Buellton. And the study and the winery are both by appointment. The tasting room, you can make reservations or drop in.
Okay. If somebody were going to go to Los Olivos, what are a couple of good restaurants near you guys up there? I haven't been up there enough to be able to recommend anything right now.
Oh, we are super blessed. I mean, I'm going to have to kind of edit this down, and I'm sure I'm going to be forgetting some of my
Don't
closest
don't
friends.
take don't take offense, restaurant that got left
Yeah,
off.
right within Los Olivos. I mean, Bar La Cote is fantastic. That's owned and operated by the same crew who has Bell's up in Los Alamos, the only Michelin-starred restaurant in our area. That's a little more seafood focused. Another favorite that's absolutely all-star after all these years is Los Olivos Cafe. So that was actually featured in that movie that you were talking about.
Yeah.
And it's had, just been a stalwart of the region for years and years. And one of the things that makes it so special is that they have their own farm that they own. So it's, I mean, very legitimate, I mean, it's farm to table in the most absolute sense. And one of the things I love about it is that it's also well proportioned and fairly priced.
Right.
So in this day and age, as we know, especially at the higher end, and like Los Angelinos or New Yorkers will know that things have gotten kind of crazy. Los Olivos Cafe is like a warm hug. I mean, it kind of brings you back home. Nella is another one. That's the same folks who have SY Kitchen and Toscana for your Italian fix. So I mean, again, there's more, but those three are some of my favorites in town.
Fantastic. As far as what you guys are making as a brand, is Pinot Noir number one in production, Chardonnay number two, Sauv Blanc and Syrah following? Is that kind of the pecking order?
Pretty close, yeah. Pinot Noir makes up a little more than half of what we do. And then the way that we farm, and we'll probably get into this a little bit more with the wine, we're block by block, and a lot of our things are long-term leases at specific vineyard blocks. So the production goes up and down with what much Mother Nature gives us. But I'd say generally speaking, about half is Pinot Noir, and then the rest is fairly evenly split between Rosé, Sauvignon Blanc, Chardonnay, and Syrah.
Well, tonight we're going to taste this Happy Canyon 2023. I think you have a signature style that you've achieved with this wine. It's been part of your program since beginning, right?
Yes, this is one of the things that really drew us to Santa Barbara County. So when we were getting our start, we had the good fortune to work with some of the pioneers in the area. And John Dragonette apprenticed with Kathy Joseph of Fiddlehead Cellars, who was one of the first winemakers to work with fruit from what actually became Happy Canyon. This was before there was even an AVA out there. So we were aware of Sauvignon Blanc through the lens of the pioneers like Fred Brander and Kathy Joseph. And then we had the good fortune to begin working with Sauvignon Blanc at Vogelsang and Grassini out there with the 2008 vintage. So it has been quite a while. And we really kind of early on immediately saw the potential for something that was completely unique. I mean, this is not your average Sauvignon Blanc. It has a very specific place, terroir-driven style to it, which we really love.
Happy Canyon, pretty extreme east, in a area that has those east-west mountain ranges. It's would you describe it as a little warmer, a little higher in altitude, a little more arid?
Yes to all of those. And one of the big stories about Santa Barbara County is that incredible geography where we have the east to the west mountain ranges that just allow that cool weather influence to come straight in. And when you're looking at this slide is particularly perfect for that because you can see the arrow pointing over to Happy Canyon. That arrow actually is the direction it crosses right across the San Ynez Valley, and that's the prevailing winds come in from that exact same area. And like you said, Happy Canyon is tucked up. It's the highest elevation AVA that we have. It sits in the foothills of the mountains. Though we are generally a quite cool climate region, it is the sort of warm spot within the cool climate. So across that area, if you look at the far west at Santa Rita Hills to the far east of Happy Canyon, it's about a 30-mile stretch. And on a given day, the temperature will change by about 1 degree per mile. So the same day that our chilliest Pinot Noir and Chardonnay vineyards might barely hit 70 degrees, our Sauvignon Blanc grapes might hit the top 90s or maybe even 100 for a very brief time. But the elevation that you mentioned, this sitting up in the foothills, that creates this incredible diurnal swing. So we have plenty of days throughout the summertime where we'll see a 50-degree diurnal shift. You'll go from the 90s, the high in the day, down to the 40s at night. So
Wow.
it really, I mean, it's incredible paradox. That's why it's actually difficult to talk about it as being, warm climate or cool climate, because
Right.
Happy Canyon, it really is both. And that's one of the things that brings a remarkable dynamic to the wine because those warmer days lend this more tropical, kind of riper, beautiful fruit profile. You get things like pineapple and mango and kiwi. But then those cool nights lock in the freshness of acidity. And so you have this beautiful balance of richer textures with still real fresh acidity.
Just a side note, if you can give me like the 30, the quick answer there. Where did the name Canyon come from?
It's a funny story. So, nowadays it's well known for its vineyards. But the name Happy Canyon goes all the way back to Prohibition times because that was apparently the only place in the county that had a still. And so it's where people went to get happy back in the day. So I think it's very full circle that we're now known for our vineyards.
That's amazing.
And it's a really special place. I mean, as these pictures will show, it's just a phenomenally beautiful area. You have this incredible topographical diversity, so you can see the mountains in the background, and then these beautiful, gentle rolling hills where the vineyards are. And it really is a place of paradise. One of the most famous realtors in the valley refers to it as the goalpost. She said that if you really make it in life, you'll end up out in Happy Canyon. So that was with the locals, it was this kind of place that people aspired to because before vineyards were even there, it was a place that was really well known for horse breeding. So there's actually been Kentucky Derby competitors who've been bred out there, and so it's this area that you can kind of see. And then the picture on the far left, that's an overview that shows Grassini Vineyard, but it shows the overall landscape where you just basically have these rolling fields, and in the summertime they just kind of turn golden. Large horse ranches. There's not a lot out there. There's actually not a single public tasting room in all of Happy Canyon. The vineyards are discreet and kind of tucked away. I do say it's a great scenic drive if you ever kind of want to just take a chance to kind of go out and just drive along out there, because you'll see these beautiful horse ranches, these incredible vineyards. And if you keep following Happy Canyon Road, it actually loops up into the mountains that you see at kind of the north end of these pictures,
Hmm.
up into Figueroa Mountains and the National Forest up there. So it's a pretty remote area and remarkable for viticulture.
Awesome. The wine that we're tasting today is the 2022, and you are 100% Sauvignon Blanc. Is there a particular clone, or is that a blend of clones?
It's a blend of clones. It's driven by Clone 1, which is by far and away the most planted clone of Sauvignon Blanc in California. Its heritage apparently is traced back to Bordeaux and maybe even specifically to Yquem, according to some of the lore behind it. We also blend in a little bit of a clone called Musquet. Musquet brings a little bit more exotic, floral, tropical, spicy note. But Clone 1, I mean, you can actually make a standalone wine out of that one clone. It's incredibly complete. I mean, it kind of has it all. It has the beautiful aromatic potential of Sauvignon, has the great richness and the ability to retain nice critical acidity as well.
Would you say that your style is a little bit more leaning towards Bordeaux, Pessac Lignon style versus, say, a Sancerre?
Yeah, when we're referencing the classics, that'd be absolutely true. And I mean, I'd say that what we're really striving to do is to create a Happy Canyon style. And obviously, I mean, given that we're a young region, I mean, it only reached AVA status in 2009. So it is still a quite young region, still establishing itself. And what we found early on, we were experimenting. We would ferment some in stainless steel, some in neutral barrels, use a little bit of new oak. But what we found early on was that incredible dynamic that the warm days and the cold nights brings, where you have that rich texture, but also nice acidity, that it really lent itself well to the barrel. So sort of by trial and error, our style has evolved to something that's much more barrel driven. So in the Happy Canyon bottling, it's typically somewhere around 75 or 80% neutral barrel. And then the remaining 20-ish%, we will keep a little bit in stainless steel to kind of keep some of that refreshing aromatics and keep a little bit more tension. But there is a textural element out there, and part of it is this right here. So Happy Canyon has this really unique mineral to the soil. This is actually the state rock, serpentinite,
Wow.
which it's a state rock in California because California is this geological patchwork quilt. And from the spine of the Sierras all the way out to the west coast of California, all that land has been accumulated or added on over ancient, millennia, millions and millions of years. And whenever those collisions and add-ons happen, they oftentimes scoop up some ocean crust, metamorphize it into this. And one of the things that the serpentinite brings is it actually devigorates the vines. So Sauvignon Blanc is oftentimes known as being a very vigorous variety. In New Zealand, you can oftentimes crop your vines up to 8 or 9 tons to the acre, where in Happy Canyon, we're targeting about 3 tons to the acre. And so part of that is that the intensity of the minerals in the soil actually slow the vine growth down, allow us to have a little bit smaller clusters with more intense flavors.
Perfect. I love that. Is that the type of material you would use to make like arrowheads and stuff like that? Is that what that would be used?
Not quite this. That actually is something that we do see up here, mainly in Santa Rita Hills, in San Ynez going westward. That would be chert or flint. You would see that. This, of course, does look like it. That shape. I mean, it
Yeah.
looks like an arrowhead, but if you're holding onto it, it's much more crumbly. It's also firm. It doesn't have quite as fine of a point as you'd see on flint, but it does have a really high mineral content, which influences the soil.
Great. That's cool. I've never been introduced to that before. Thank you. Here's another look inside the vineyards. Are we in Sauvignon Blanc here?
We are, yeah. So this is Vogelsang Vineyard, which is a major player in our Happy Canyon bottling. This is actually one of the older vine blocks that we work with out there. And I think it really shows that image, it captures so much of the essence of Happy Canyon, which is you can still see, you see the brilliant sunshine there, but in the background, you can see the fog, which is actually trending down by the San Ynez River. So Happy Canyon still does get a marine layer influence, like we talk about frequently in Santa Barbara County. But being on the eastern end, it's the first place where that fog will burn off in the morning. So you have kind of longer, sunnier days. But this just shows that beautiful kind of rolling hills. It's a little difficult to tell in the picture, but again, pretty stony soils out there for that nice little minerality to it, and just a stunning landscape. And you can also see in this that these vines are not over the top in terms of their size. I mean, the hillsides limit the growth, as does the serpentinite. And so it helps, keep the yields down and keep the concentration and intensity of the flavors up in the wine.
The wine got 92 points by Jeb Dunnick. And here's the brothers, John and Steve, with Brandon. And three of you guys all share in the winemaking.
We do, yeah. It's a little bit of an unusual thing. Oftentimes you hear about kind of a winemaker. The three of us like to collaborate on it. It's what drew us. We like to be hands-on in everything that we do in terms of being in the vineyards and being in the winery, and it's what drew us to wine in the first place. And so, we're kind of at our happiest when we're out in the vineyards or in the cellar around harvest time.
Well, Sauvignon Blanc is the grape variety, so get to know the classics, and we always want to reinforce that knowledge of what Sauvignon Blanc's supposed to taste like, and then you layer in, the character of the place and some of the philosophy of the producer, which is what we're exploring here today. We're going to taste the wine now with the group. Is there any closing words that you'd like to say? And please note that everybody on this Zoom has just an exceptional price on this wine. We will be taking this price up following the Zoom. So jump on board and grab some Dragonette if you're a fan. And if there's anything you want to say in closing here, Brandon, about the wine, what should people be experiencing and maybe looking forward to here?
So in terms of the Happy Canyon Sauvignon Blanc, I mean, I always say trust your palate, and I think you've got a great guide in Ian and the team there. The wonderful thing about Sauvignon Blanc is that combination of intensity of aromatics, and so within this wine, I think you'll get some of those sort of classical, like you had gooseberry on that slide, some of those sort of classical elements of the variety, also amplified through that lens of Happy Canyon. So, where if we were tasting New Zealand or Sancerre, I think you'd find much more kind of herbaceous character and a little more lean texture. The thing that's unique about Happy Canyon is that more tropical fruit profile, a little richer textural profile, which we kind of amplify by using the neutral barrels for the fermentation and the aging. And the other thing that I'd say about this is that it is not your average Sauvignon Blanc. And so in terms of enjoyment, you can enjoy it on its own. You can enjoy it with a super wide range of food. In the summertime, enjoy it with a little caprese salad with some burrata. Enjoy it with a fig pizza or fig focaccia. That's fig and gorgonzola. Make this wine just utterly sing. And more to the point, I just want to thank everyone again, for joining us tonight, and thank you for exploring Santa Barbara. We're, really excited about what we're doing up here, and welcome you both virtually and in person. So Ian, thanks so much for having me.
You're the best, man. Thank you.